Hello, I'm Bartling, and I certainly hope that you and yours are having yourself that sunnier, warmer day. You know, the older I am, the more that I think. And I'm thinking of a particular C word. And you have it, I have it. Next person you meet, they're going to have it. It's your culture. It isn't static, it's constantly growing. So, how are you gardening your culture garden? Yes, think of it as it's like a garden, if you will. And we're going to plant some seeds. Not seeds, but I want you to plant some C's. The first C I want you to plant is your core values. Your core values. Now, it's kind of funny, I think, on those core values, I don't decide, well, I'm going to choose this, I'm going to choose this, I'm going to choose this. As you mature, and the people that you are with, of course, your relatives, your fellow students, your church family, the organizational families that you belong to, the recreational families that you belong to, and the media. That's all going to contribute to your culture. And yes, it's going to play a very important part, and it's playing more all the time to those core values. So in your garden, you need to watch for things like any garden of the weeds. And they could come from any of those places. And you want to ask yourself, are they attacking, are they weakening my core values? Are they causing me to go down? Sometimes it's phrased as a slippery slope. Another C there to plant is to communicate. Different cultures will communicate in different ways. Indeed, they will. I was fortunate enough, as part of my culture, to be growing up in the Native American culture. More of storytelling, more of oral history. Whereas the European type of a culture, Americanized, is more of a written culture. And indeed, drilling down to the roots of that plant, down to the communication, all the way down to the military. Communication military is done a lot of times, written form. It's part of their culture. Then a seed, as it grows, and as you mature, you'll see then to collaborate together. And that plant can grow and have so many different and beautiful fruits when you collaborate with others. And then the synergy takes place. It's kind of fertilizing that collaboration, and it becomes so much better. It sure does, by collaborating there. And to do that, it takes some cooperation. As you go through your journey of life, from being in this little world of just relatives, very early stages is just the papa and mama. And then the world starts to grow a little bit. And then you're going to schools. And then you're going to different recreational organizations. And again, your religious organizations. All of those, as I said, are contributing to your culture. And in that cooperation, there is a stage for some of us, many of us, that of marriage. That's when two cultures come together. And it can be basic little silly things at times. Example, always Heinz tomato ketchup. It's in the culture. It was, remember, Anticipation. It was a slow ketchup.
Boy, some ketchup's slow. You mean your mom doesn't buy you Heinz? No, why should she? Wait till you taste it. Anticipation is making me wait. What do you think? Can I stay over tomorrow night too?
Thick, rich Heinz ketchup. The taste that's worth the wait.
Where do you store it? Do you store it out like you see at restaurants? Or do you store it in the refrigerator? It goes in the refrigerator here. How about butter? Is butter to be out or is butter to be put in the refrigerator? My culture, butter was out. There was a butter dish, and the butter dish had a top on it. But when you came in, if you wanted to cut yourself a piece of bread, no, there wasn't any sliced bread. It was homemade bread. Then you could put some soft butter on it. But our butter goes into the refrigerator. You see, part of LaDonna's cultural background in a restaurant. In a restaurant, you got to worry about germs, bacteria, you name it, to the nth degree. And so you don't leave things out, maybe that you would at home, such as ketchup and butter. You put them away. It's part of the culture itself. When I was stationed down south, when we were as a dependent there with Sergeant Major Bartling in Warner Robins Air Force Base in Georgia, it was not uncommon for young people to show respect for their elders, that they would use the word Mr. and Miss. So it'd be Miss LaDonna this, Miss LaDonna that. In fact, when we moved up here to South Dakota, we had some neighbors, and they were from down south that they had moved from. Those kids would call LaDonna Miss LaDonna that. It was a sign of respect. I believe up here in the Midwest, there's more of a kindred to aunt and uncle, even though they're not blood relatives. Uncle Ed and Aunt LaDonna. I am respectively Uncle Ed to a lot of kids, my associates that I work with. And so it is LaDonna to some of the people that she worked with. It's, again, in their culture as a sign of respect there. With that cooperation, as I said, comes that collaboration. And it's funny, I think, with social media, as I said, sometimes attributing to our culture and sometimes in a negative way, in that they are the weeds in your garden. And you have to be aware of those weeds from the social media, that they don't affect your core values. I grew up as a teenager and in my 20s during the Vietnam era. And folks, back then, the media did not treat our soldiers, our men and women that served our country, as they should have. And I think over time, our culture has realized that. One of the ways, not the only way, but one of the ways is across the whole United States, there's a movement on, which then is, I think, realizing that we need to honor these veterans and honor them before they're no longer here. That particular organization sponsors what they call then honor flights, where they will take then the veterans and then fly them to Washington, D.C., to that whole time period, from the time that they leave to the time that they even come back, all that time being honored and saying say thanks for their service. South Dakota, our state, has a honor flight going on this summer in which these veterans, as they should be, are being honored for their service. In fact, the rest of the story, one of our associates of financial markets has earned the honor, as it should be, of him being honored. Our president of financial markets, Robert Sperling, is being honored in the honor flight for his service. So watch out for those weeds in your garden. Don't let them affect your core values. Stop and think as you then constantly need to, again, another C word, cultivate. You have to take care of your garden. You have to then be on the outlook for things, those weeds that will attack your core values. Stand strong. And I want you to go out there and have yourself that sunnier, warmer day. And know this, I'm rooting for you because we're in this together. And I do know this, as one of the seeds planted down there, it's sprouted up, and I do know this. Blessed are they who ease the pain of misfortune, for they shall be called insurance agents. Take care, won't you?